I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was item 2 on our agenda. Item 3 is announcements. We don't have any announcements to make this morning. Item 4 is approval of the minutes. The minutes distributed to the board by the board secretary. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Thank you. All right, we move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is our monthly reports. Item 5A is with our ward, so we'll welcome our ward.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Start, as I always do, with our population here at the jail. Excuse me. For 2025, for the month of May, I'm speaking. For 2025, the average was 813, and for 2026, it's 777. So 813, 777, and this morning we're sitting at 763, and we've been in the 60s, the 760s, for most of the month. I will let you know you're sitting in work release, which is considered a housing unit here at the jail, and we currently have a population of 46 inmates. And Johnny Collins, you here? Johnny Collins in the back, he runs this area, and he oversees this and a number of other things in the jail. So this is his main focus. And then our records audit. Our records department, overseen by Lieutenant Underdunk, they had their first audit of the year. They will have 2 this year, as they always do. And I just want to read some of those numbers that came out of that audit that they recently did. The charges not closed out in an inmate's file were 6 of them. I'm talking of the 700 and some files that they went through every file. 6 of them, down from 3 from last audit. So basically, the charges came through and they weren't closed out. It wouldn't prevent anybody from being released in a timely manner. There just is the accurate record keeping that they're looking for there. Status changes, sentence versus pre-trial. There was one discrepancy, and that was the same from last audit, which in itself is amazing when you're dealing with all but 800, 700. Mid-sevens numbers. And then paperwork, that was in the wrong file, 0, once again. And we want to see that, that's amazing. That's the hard work of many of those, all those folks over there in the records department working together. The below items were reviewed and collected as part of a systematic review of the inmate population for various reasons here. Number of inmates only incarcerated on a PV, that was 82. That's charged with new criminal offense of some sort. So there were 82 of those. Number of inmates only incarcerated on a PV tech, and that was 33. So they violated some condition of their probation that had been appointed to them or set for them. Number of inmates waiting to be released due to incomplete parole plan, and that would be 32. Number of sex offender inmates waiting to be released due to incomplete parole plan, 8. And a PV tech flag that needed removed due to being sentenced, there were 22 of those. The inmate, the count at the time of this audit was 791. So why I tell you during this month it was in the 760s. Last month in May when we did that count was 791. So they'll have another audit again in late fall. And I did provide this, I know you didn't receive it, Judge, but I did provide it to the DA and the President Judge just for their keeping and their knowledge of that, so they're aware of that. And then next on my prison board is training department recognition. They often don't get mentioned. They're behind the scenes making it happen and keeping everybody updated on training. Lieutenant Hirsch, I'd ask you to be here. Stand up. I just want to, so everybody can put a face with. So I received a letter from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Congratulations, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections has approved your basic, the county basic training curriculum. Bless you. This approval will remain effective until May of 2029, so every 3 years, provided the program continues to meet the PA DOC's minimum standards. So it was a pleasure to work with Lieutenant Michael Hirsch throughout the curriculum and academy approval process. Lieutenant Hirsch did an excellent job of developing and organizing materials needed for review, as well as paying exceptional attention to detail, which he does on a daily basis. It is evident that your staff is committed to quality training and staff development and demonstrates your facility's commitment to ensuring staff have the knowledge and skills needed to be effective at their job. So this is a 10-page review that Hirsch had to provide the information to make sure we were up to speed on our policies, our procedures. He would meet with me often going over things. I had to then approve his approval, and we received, this letter of recommendation from the state. Just rattle off a couple things, that are within this: security procedures, regulations, use of force, wellness, suicide prevention in the facility, emergency plans and procedures, cultural diversity, communication skills, and it goes on and on. So it's a big undertaking. This is, our training department runs a number of folks through there monthly. Our new officers, our vendors that are coming in, they provide training for. They provide mandatory training throughout the year, consistently training, month after month. So along with Sergeant Coleman, Hirsch, the two of them run that department. So I just wanted to have him stand up and get the accolades, as sometimes they don't often get. And then that's it for my agenda this morning.
Questions, comments?
Sure, I have a question about the PV techs. You said there were 33, but then the tech flags that weren't removed were 22. Does that mean that there were 11 PV techs? Or?
No, so they were sentenced, and then once they're sentenced, we remove those flags.
Okay.
So we no longer consider them a PV tech once they're sentenced. We just track them before they're sentenced.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions, comments for the warden on her report? Okay, thank you, warden.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item B, which is the operations report of Deputy Warden Castro.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with the Security Officers of the Month for May of 2026. Correctional Officer Laura Stair was selected as May's first shift officer of the month. During her time with us, Officer Stair has displayed great teamwork. She consistently helps her peers and supervisors when called upon. As the permanent post officer on a challenging block like 2-5, she works diligently to keep the block running smoothly. Stair helps with transports and bed runs as needed. Officer Stair has been employed at Lancaster County Prison for 9 months. Correctional Officer Kayla Morant was selected as May's second shift officer of the month. Officer Morant is an active member of the prison transport team. She was always willing to help her fellow staff and will jump in and complete a task without having to be directed. She maintains a positive attitude even when faced with difficult situations. She was always striving to better herself by learning new areas of the prison. Officer Morant has been employed at the Lancaster County Prison for over 5 years. Correctional Officer Joanna Lise Rodriguez was selected as May's third shift officer of the month. During her relatively short career so far, Officer Rodriguez has demonstrated dependability and can be relied upon to operate any post with ease. Rodriguez is always willing to assist in any manner she can and has demonstrated an ability to communicate effectively with the inmate population. Officer Rodriguez has been employed at the Lancaster County Prison for 9 months. The Operations Officer of the Month is Officer Elise Nauman. Officer Nauman is dependable officer, not only on the 12 to 8 shift, but for the entire prison. She displays a professional work ethic and works well in the commitment area where she accepts defendants from local police agencies and knows how to accurately handle the range of paperwork and committable documents without issue. Her personality, attitude, and her welcoming demeanor also fits the mold of the correctional officer that we want staff to be instilled with. Her steady presence provides consistency to our facility, and the prison greatly appreciates her efforts. Officer Nauman has been employed at Lancaster County Prison for over 3 years. Some staffing updates. We ended the month of May with 1 sergeant vacancy and 1 lieutenant vacancy and 9 correctional officer vacancies. In May, we celebrated Corrections Week, and last year the board presented, or the last month, the board presented the lock and key winner to the prison board. Today I'm going to go over the other awards from the security department. The 2026 CERT Operator of the Year was Officer John Vieira. The Firefighter of the Year was William Minotti V. We have 3 Officer of the Years, 1 for each shift, and those went to Zachary Freet, Matthew Bosley, and Austin Jones. And we also have 3 Shift Commander Awards, 1 for each shift, and those went to Elise Nauman, John Nicholas, and Bruce Martin. The Operations Employee of the Year was William Minotti IV, and the Supervisor of the Year was Sergeant Jason Curtis. We also had recognized some people for perfect attendance for the year of 2025. Sergeant Rafael Juarez, Sergeant Thomas Fish, Officer Mustafa Hijran, Officer Alyssa Kuhn, Officer Daniel Hemming, Officer Samantha O'Malley, Officer Michael Whitka, and Officer Unique Phillips. And then the last thing I want to do is not on the prison board agenda for me, but this was an incident that happened recently, and we don't want to wait for the next prison board because we don't typically have one in July. So I want to make sure that we recognize the 2 staff members that participated in a critical incident. I want to ask Sergeant Schneider to join me up here, and he can talk about what took place while I get the awards ready.
So on the 8th of this month, on Housing Unit G2, our restricted housing unit, Officer Plastino observed an inmate during a routine block check that had something, well, he didn't originally know this, but he had seen it appeared as though that they may be in distress. They were sitting up against a wall, they didn't appear to be moving, and they were not responding to verbal stimuli. So he decided to open the door to investigate further. Upon opening the door, he saw that they had tied a piece of sheet tightly around their neck. He then entered the cell, and with the assistance of Officer Buckwalter, they were able to remove the obstruction. The inmate then began breathing. EMS staff arrived and were able to take him to the hospital where he recovered and returned to the facility.
So I'm going to ask that Officer Plastino and Officer Buckwalter join us up here.
Officer Plastino is actually on his day off today. It was
You're coming off shift, right?
No, today's my Sunday.
All right. So we're going to be presenting certificates, life-saving plaque, and the life-saving pin to both of these officers for their actions on June 8th. On Monday, June 8th, 2026, Officer Plastino demonstrated exemplary action in a critical situation. While conducting a routine block check on Housing Unit G2, he observed an inmate who appeared unresponsive. Recognizing something wasn't right, Officer Plastino assessed the situation and entered the cell, where he found the inmate engaging in self-harming behavior. Without hesitation, Officer Plastino intervened, removing the obstruction from the inmate's neck and restoring the inmate's ability to breathe. The quick action prevented what could have resulted in serious bodily injury or death. Officer Plastino's swift response is a powerful example of the courage and decisiveness all staff members should emulate. His actions reflect great credit upon himself, the Lancaster County Prison, and the County of Lancaster. Officer Plastino, congratulations. Officer Plastino, you also get a life-saving pin that you can wear on your uniform. Thank you, sir. This is for Lane Buckwalter. On Monday, June 8th, Officer Buckwalter demonstrated exemplary action in a critical situation. Responding to an active emergency, he entered a cell and observed an inmate in distress. Without hesitation, he assisted fellow staff in removing an obstruction that had been secured around the inmate's neck, enabling staff to quickly cut it away and prevent further harm. Following the intervention, Officer Buckwalter remained with the inmate providing support until emergency medical services arrived and assumed care. Officer Buckwalter's swift response is a powerful example of the courage and decisiveness all staff members should emulate. His actions reflect great credit upon himself, the Lancaster County Prison, and the County of Lancaster. Congratulations. And you also get the life-saving pin that you can wear on your uniform. You guys want to say a word?
Comments?
Sergeant Schneider was there too. Sergeant Schneider was the first one on scene right behind me and him, so he was also, I couldn't get the J hook underneath, so those two were able to get their fingers underneath, so definitely Schneider too.
That was a well done team effort. Things could have gone worse, but it didn't because of the reaction of both these gentlemen beside me, and as a team we worked well, as we should.
Thanks, sir.
That is all that I have.
I just want to say that, I mean, this has been a major focus for the warden and her team, suicide prevention. And when I look at where we were as an organization 10 years ago, when the warden and I came in, we were having, multiple suicides, multiple deaths a year, and the progress that has been made is incredible. I've always said that you can't, I'm very, very determined to take their life or harm themselves. You can't prevent everyone, but they've done an incredible job over the years doing everything that they can. I think this is an example of that. Here you have people taking initiative, taking action because they don't think something's right, and that leading to being able to save a life. And I don't know that that always would have happened in the past, and it's a credit to the training, but also to these individuals. I was talking to Officer Buckwalter before the meeting, and I actually didn't know why he was here. And he's a very mature guy for his age, and also a firefighter. And I was very impressed, but I didn't. And we actually talked about the suicide prevention work that we've done over the years, but he didn't even bring this up, and I didn't know why he was here. So I mean, that's a credit to the kind of individuals who we have working here. So we appreciate them, and I think it's. I'm glad that we're honoring people with the life-saving awards. That didn't always happen either, but it shows that this organization cares about human life, and I hope that inmate someday realizes what you did for them and goes on to lead a better life because of it. Other comments or questions from anybody on the Deputy Warden's report?
Are any of the other COs that were recognized, were they here? Were they not able to make it?
No.
No.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy. We'll move on to item C, and this is the inmate services report of Warden Schiff.
Good morning. I'll start off by reporting out that we reinstituted our providers meeting last month. Providers meeting is when we have all our direct care partners come into the institution or meet. It could be anywhere, but they came into the institution, actually met in this room, and we did some team building exercises, but more importantly, we shared a lot of information amongst each other so we can all be on the same page and work as a team. We will continue these provider meetings on a quarterly basis. We had, I believe we had 32 folks that were in attendance, and again, they were all direct provider staff. They come in here day in and day out and do a lot of work with our inmates to get them ready for release and provide treatment services to them. Next, I have a staffing update. Last month, you met Rebecca Black-Ruby. She is our reentry specialist. I'm going to ask that Taylor Rogers and Tim Wilder come up so I can introduce them. Are they both here? Okay. So this is Taylor Rogers. She is our PREA specialist. She was just hired 3 weeks ago. Yes. She brings with her a wealth of knowledge about PREA because she worked 3 years at YIC. So we welcome her and look forward to her assisting with not only PREA, but a variety of activities to include re-entry and just helping to manage a housing unit. So thank you for coming aboard. And this is Kim Wilder. You may know Kim. She worked for Donegal Substance Abuse Alliance and was in and out of here as, again, a direct care provider. She is an inmate services specialist, and she will be working up 125. So I just want to welcome you both and thank you for coming on our team. All right, lastly, I want to recognize some folks who won some awards at Corrections Week back in May. I don't think they were all able to make it. Is Sal here? Okay, so I'm just going to list them. This is amazing, and I talk about this, I believe, every year, but Norbert Sotomayor, he is our drug and alcohol specialist. He's not here today. He's probably up doing a group, but amazing thing about Norbert is he's been here 20 plus years, and he has never missed a day of work in those 20 plus years. So if he were here, he would tell you that if his feet hit the floor in the morning, he needs to be at work. So very, very dependable man, and I appreciate him so much. Next, we have our contracted staff person of the year. I was hoping Sal would be here, Sal Dupree. He's the assistant manager in our kitchen, and he keeps things running day to day. I just thank Sal for all the hard work. He's been here for 9 years, over 2 contracted providers, and he's just dependable as dependable can be. Next, they couldn't be here either, but we have a Volunteer of the Year award, and it was for 2 people this year, both from Alcoholics Anonymous. It's Jerry Schober and Rick Souter. What's amazing about them is they've managed to round up 30 volunteers to come in every week and do AA groups on most of our housing units, which is incredible. And some of those housing units they do too. So they definitely deserve the award. They're a big part of our team and getting people on the right track as they're in here staying as residents. Finally, I'm going to have Aaron Gans come up. I've talked about Aaron recently before, but Aaron is earned and won our treatment staff person of the year. She's our reentry coordinator. She does countless things within the institution. She meets with inmates every day, teaches a class in this room on pre-employment skills to our work release inmates, and is just a ball of fire. She's always moving. So just congratulations, Erin. You've earned a well-deserved reward. Thank you.
One of Erin's hobbies is she's a rugby player, and I'm telling you, I watched her. She's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah.
But it's amazing. Sometimes on Monday mornings, it's like she's not moving too well. It's okay. I also do want to mention I do have Lois Greenley here from AA because couldn't show up, so she's here representing AA. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Questions, comments for Deputy Warden Shepherd? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for the staffing update. Can you tell us if there's any staff vacancies for crime care?
No.
No questions? Deputy Warden Shepherd, answer.
I just want to comment, I was able to attend the provider meeting that was discussed, and I just want to say that the way the agenda was organized and the way the meeting was conducted, facilitated, I think was outstanding. So a good number of providers were there, but the way the agenda was formulated was that there was enough time for the providers to speak with one another. And I think there were times when they were trying to inform each other about their programs that they didn't know about what the other one was doing. And then they were also brainstorming on what they could do together, what they could do to improve how are they measuring things. So there was so much discussion. There was a time when you really had to kind of yell to settle everybody down because the discussion that was happening among the providers was pretty vigorous, but really productive. At the same time, balancing that with going over policies and procedures and expectations. So it could have been sort of a fire hose of just talking at people and the providers, but there was a lot of networking and process improvement ideas, and people were excited about when's the next meeting going to happen. So congratulations on, I think it was really successful in the way that was organized.
And that goes, the credit for that goes to Ashley and Ms. Carly. Ashley and Carly really built the class. Yeah, so they did a great job. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next is the administrative report, Deputy Warden
Inspection.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Administrative report, currently the business office is completely staffed. We do have a current plan to begin our next officer new hire class on August 24th. That will consist of the 9 vacancies that Deputy Warden Castro mentioned. Our current class that we are having now has completed the classroom training, and now they're on the job training with our training officers. That training should be scheduled to be completed on or around July 3rd. If anybody has any new topics or statistics they want to be covered, please reach out. We'll give them consideration, consult the prison board, and then we'll make any additions if needed.
Thank you. Questions, comments for Deputy Warden Seaver?
Can you provide a little update on, I know you've been doing a lot of work around ATIMs.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Lieutenant Underduck on that because he is the ATIMs administrator, but I can bring him up and we can speak to that.
Is there a particular interface?
Well, I know there have been discussions about being able to track and pull out more information from ATIMs and
Yeah, from like CPCMS and JNet. So those meetings happen every week, and I'm currently mapping the data from CPCMS into ATIMs. So that's where we're currently at.
and as number one priority.
Yep. But we also have an interface with medical where we're trying to get data about detainees to also transfer over. So that way we can better evaluate them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's item D. Item E is the facilities manager report with Bob Dodge, Deputy Director.
Morning, everyone. I just want to say congratulations to the award winners this morning. It really makes me proud to welcome you and with you as a new worker. So excellent job, everybody. Continuing to work on the new correctional facility. We're going to be up shortly to brief you on some updates. Work orders for the month of May 2026. We had 179 closed work orders for the month, 935 closed for the year, 187 per month average so far this year. Over the last 5 years, our average has been 174. So numbers are creeping up a little bit, but we're still getting the work done. The 741 has been our average year to date over the last 5 years as well. So again, you can see the trends there in the bottom. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you, Bob. Questions, comments for Bob? Okay, next.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the item F is the financial report with Controller Scott Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The prison's operating total revenue received to date as of May 31st, $456,000.
Expenditures to date, personal services, $12,013,451. Supplies, $317,963. Purchase services, $5,747,356. For a total year-to-date of $18,078,770. For the prison maintenance category, supplies were $23,976. Purchase services were $44,332, for a total of $68,308. For the inmate general welfare fund, revenues to date, $496,295. Expenditures, $519,043. And current balance is $4,409.
Thank you, Scott. Questions, comments from the control on this report? Okay, thank you. All right, we move on to item G, and this is the new prison project report. So, board kick that off.
So I'll go over 3 updates this morning. The design development update, the financial update, and the land development update. The Lancaster County Commissioners considered key design items to move the project towards a final design. The Board of Commissioners considered 6 items that were originally set aside in the project as add alternates. And you might have heard this before. They were the additional wellness beds, fitting out work release units, the male and female support clusters for programming, and fitting out the central booking area, and then the maintenance of that on-site space for maintenance. The project team presented these options at the beginning of the year and provided further details in a presentation which is available online at the May Prison Board and Board of Commissioners meeting. The Board of Commissioners voted to include all 6 add alternates into the base bid, and all items will be included in that final design. The project team also provided an update on the value engineering items in the same presentation. The project team reviewed dozens of possible value engineering items to identify all possible areas of cost savings in this project, in the project's design, while still maintaining the mission and the goals of the new facility. The project team incorporated 2 value engineering items in the design of the facility, lowering the building pad and removing a redundant electrical source. These 2 items resulted in an estimated savings of $1.8 million. The project team then brought 4 items to the Board of Commissioners for consideration of whether to leave the items in the bid of the facility or to pull them out. And first on that list is elimination of the warden's restroom, I ask. Eliminating a multi-purpose conference-style room, a room such as where we would hold prison board and provide trainings for staff, minimizing the lobby entrance, and altering the finishes budget for the design of the facility. After review, the Board of Commissioners voted to eliminate the warden's restroom and alter the finishes budget with the option for the project team to seek bid alternates on finishes to both reduce project costs and create the flexibility to seek multiple options and finished materials. The result of the elimination of these 2 value engineering items is an estimated savings of $1.47 million. The project team will seek approval from the Board of Commissioners to begin the construction document phase of the project, which will be utilized in the preparation for the bid documents. And then for the financial update, the county's financial advisors are expected to provide a presentation to the Board of Commissioners. And remember, this is as of last month or prior to this week. So as a follow-up to the introduction of the financing options for the LCCF project presented at a March Board of Commissioners meeting. The financial advisors reviewed a range of options with the Board of Commissioners at the March meeting and discussed the various levers involved in financing such a project. During the upcoming presentation, the board is expected to provide their feedback, and financial advisors will be able to take the feedback to develop a general financing plan for the county. This presentation occurred also this week on Tuesday. The financial team provided the Board of Commissioners and then refined those options to them just as of this week. Land development update. The project team and county engineer attended the June 16th Lancaster Township Planning Commission. We are pleased that the Planning Commission unanimously approved the recommendation for the Township Board of Supervisors to approve the final land development plan. So that was a big moment for us. The project will now go before the Board of Supervisors in July or possibly August. We appreciate the partnership that we have had with the township on this project. And then that's it for the 3 updates that I have for the new facility.
Thank you, Board. Questions, comments from the board or from the public on that? Smith?
Thank you, Board, for the updates. It's still quite concerning that the construction alternates that were considered did not include the alternate that the advocates asked for in terms of outdoor recreation. I still have a question about whether the new prison is going to meet ACA national standards.
Ask your question and then we'll get the appropriate person to respond. So is that your full question?
I'll reference that in the May meeting, the warden, after a previous prison board meeting, in the May prison meeting, which is in the minutes that are published, and you can look at it online, the warden said that the consulting company assured her that having only indoor urban yards does meet the ACA standards. On June 11th, I presented a document to the county commissioners, and I also sent it to the prison board, that is entitled Outdoor Recreation, Prison and Jail Standards, Resources, and Litigation, with a number of resources, and so you had a chance to look at that. It doesn't square with what the consultants told you. So that's why I'm really curious, are we meeting national standards or not? Because the ACA's 1 Core 5C01 regulation says inmates have access to exercise and recreation opportunities when available at least 1 hour daily outside the cell or outdoors. Then ACA 1 Core 5C01 also says both outdoor and covered enclosed exercise areas for general population inmates are provided in sufficient number to ensure that each inmate is offered at least 1 hour access daily. Then it says use of outdoor areas is preferred, but covered enclosed are available for use in inclement weather. So that doesn't square with what the minutes report you said and the reporting reports you said, that the consultants advised you that indoor was preferred, when clearly it says both outdoor and covered enclosed exercise areas, use of outdoor areas is preferred. So I'm confused by that. We said that when we built this facility, it would meet ACA national standards. It certainly won't meet national or international human rights standards if it doesn't have outdoor recreation areas.
Thank you. You want to address that?
I also want to mention that my colleague.
Solicitor, you want to address it? Want to say who you are?
My name is Dennis Doherty. I'm the first assistant solicitor for Lancaster County. I did review the memorandum that was provided to us by Ms. Scott. I can tell you I reviewed the case law that was cited in it. In that case, which happened to be on the West Coast in San Francisco, a court did determine that inmates that were incarcerated for a period of 4 years were required to have outdoor exposure. That was about it as far as the holding goes for that case. It was affirmed by the circuit court specifically, just that they said they chose 4 years and it's 4 years. What I can tell you is, if you read closely, it says indoor or outdoor. So we believe that we accommodate the ACA standards. We have been advised that we have through our consultants and through the research that we've done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you meet directly or talk directly to an ACA standards expert?
Our consultants are who we referenced.
Okay, so you didn't talk to anyone at the ACA and their standards committee?
Did you read the case?
I'm not talking about the case, I'm talking about the ACA standards.
Okay, so she's asked the question, you answered the question. Are there other questions? Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions on the new prison project? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to, we don't have any old or new business under items 6 or 7, so we'll move on to item 8, which is general business for guests. Are there any other guests who wish to address the board? If so, please come up and give us your name and your municipality where you're from. Ken?
Ken Kraler, East Timfield Township, and have a heart. Good morning. So I'd like to revisit the conversation we had last month about high temps coming this summer at high temperatures at Lancaster County Prison. Here's what I learned. That the CDC and the WHO differ a little bit, but they say the same thing about using fans when the temperature exceeds 90 degrees. If the humidity is low, then those fans are actually become detrimental. They become, like in my words, an air fryer. They are blowing drier air across people's bodies and create dehydration. CDC says 90, some others say 95 degrees, and WHO says as high as 100. And so I'm going to come back to the question I left about what's the plan B when we achieve those temperatures. Are we going to turn fans off? Are we going to bring something different? But for workforce and for inmates, it's a health hazard to run fans at temperatures above 95 when the air is drier. If we end up with high humidity, then it's a toss-up and you have to wrestle with that. And it could help people sweat. If we run fans above 90 degrees or 95 even, then the ambient temperature, then we're going to dehydrate. And I'd like to know, I figured maybe the staff knows something about that already. I think, like me, you probably don't, and most of us in the public don't. So it's a dilemma, and we're going to reach that more than once this summer. I'd appreciate some discussion on that.
Sure, where do you want to address it?
Sure.
The board's been here 30 years and dealing with the same issue every summer, so you're right, Ken, that they do have a lot of expertise in this.
Right, and I just remind everyone, I didn't always have an air-conditioned office. It was 21 years. I was right on the floor with everyone. And I did do a lot of reading and research, and I might preface by saying, if I gave the impression at a meeting last summer that, it's business as usual, it definitely is not. To know me, the folks in this room that work with me, know that it's not. The health and the wellness of everyone, staff and inmates, is of the utmost importance. But I think that the important line that you read here is that fans are not directly blowing on anyone. They're blowing. So it's not directly, there's nobody, you'll have an inmate coming up and standing at the fan if they can, if the officer allows it, but he or she is shooing them right off for visibility. There's no fans that are directly blowing on anyone. They're blowing air around the unit. And I think that's the important factor here. And I also take into account, imagine turning off all the fans on a unit.
No, that was hypothetical.
Yeah.
Just asking what's the plan B
if
we get to 100-degree temperatures. People are hit by the circulation air. They may not be directly,
they're not.
but the circulating air is moving, and that's the issue. It's a dangerous health issue, and you've been dealing with it. I'm not underplaying that at all. And all we know is the world is getting warmer.
It is.
We're not France.
And we have an answer for that. I know it's not today or tomorrow, but it's that new jail. We'll continue to do what we do, providing ice at all meals, providing that cold water on the units in addition to what comes out, of the faucets in the sinks. We have the Cambros full with ice water. We provide free shorts to all the inmates during this time. We do have ceiling fans. Often they're not even mentioned when we talk. We have an exhaust fan that is constantly running in the evening to allow the air to circulate. Jump in if I'm forgetting anything because it's just, the exhaust fans. So we do the best we can with that, and we have. I'm always willing to entertain ideas. I'm not just, stagnant with what we're doing. Give me an idea, we'll look at it.
I think the important point that the warden just mentioned too is the counter to turning the fans off is the hydration. So it's the heat and the dry air, but it's keeping people hydrated.
It is.
Would also help balance that out in terms of what the health effects would have. So
Right.
talk about the ice and water
Yeah.
and encouraging the inmates to actually drink it.
Right, and another important point, we're sending out information to our staff and to the inmates on the tablet, to the staff in the email, signs to look for heat exhaustion, what do you look for in each other, letting the inmates know to stay hydrated, constant information, not just one time, because of course we have inmates coming in and out of the jail. So it's that constant and what to look for. Our medical vendor, Prime Care, does a good job of, mentioning that, providing that to the inmates as they're meeting with them. So, there's a lot going on. Again, I might take it for granted. It's just part of my job and we do it all the time, so I don't often, talk about it. I've been doing it for a long time.
Thank you.
And our air handlers also pull fresh air in from outside and exhaust old air, if you will, out. So there is a constant exchange of air within the building.
Yeah, but the outside air is 95 to 100 degrees as well.
Yes, but there's also the exchange, carbon dioxide levels.
Sure. But the danger is not carbon dioxide, it's heat.
Thank you. Did you have another question?
So I'd like to ask a favor. You said no to us last week. I'd like to say there are two stats that we at Have at Heart are asking prison staff to report each month. Any one-day count on strip searches. Any one-day count. And any day measured indoor temps that exceed 90 degrees. And I think the public would like to know that, and I'd like to ask again that that be permitted.
And I'll say again, things that we can't change, it's not helpful to report out and spend time on. Again, you can ask questions, and I certainly respect your position, but things that the prison can't change, we have not traditionally reported on, and we generally focus on metrics and data that we can alter or make a difference on.
We can change strip searches.
Well, we can't because it's part of our security policy. So
People do different things, so I'm just saying that's measurable.
I understand your position on strip searches. Our position is that one of the reasons that we have a very, very safe facility, one of the reasons that we've all but eliminated contraband, one of the reasons that we've eliminated overdose deaths that have happened in the facility in the past is because of good security. And our most important priority is to protect inmates and protect staff. And we're not going to weaken that because strip searches are unpleasant, which I understand they are. But if we did that, in my view, we would end up with inmates or staff that are harmed, and then you would be here holding us accountable for that, rightfully so. But I would be saying, well, Kent, you want us to weaken security procedures, and we weaken security procedures, and the result was someone died. I don't want that on my conscience, and I don't want that on our staff's conscience.
With all due respect, it's a straw man. So there are clearly county jails.
Not.
There
It's
are
the very
county jails who have reduced strip searches and have our similar security. It's got to be. So
You say it's got to be, but that's
well, you don't know that it is.
I know that we went from one of the most dangerous jails in the Commonwealth to one of the safest and winning state and national awards for our level of safety. And so I know by what we've done that we have a very safe environment, and I don't want to weaken that. When we eliminated in-person visits between family members and instead made it through glass, I think it was a long time ago, there were others who were very upset about it. I can tell you it materially reduced the amount of drugs that were coming into the facility, which is our number one responsibility. So we have hard decisions to make, and in my view, we should not be. I'm one of the board, but in my view, security comes first.
Would this board entertain a motion to see whether the commissioner's position is the board's position?
It's not a matter for a motion, they can certainly speak up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak to both of these issues. So, I think when we talked earlier about the award that was given to Officer Plastino and Buckholder and Sergeant Snyder as well, the effort to reduce suicides, to keep the inmates safe, has been made a top priority. And the metrics bear that out year after year. And it's frustrating when we get caught on these kind of narratives. I think you summed it up. These are hard decisions that have to be made. There's no easy decision. When we're talking about the temperatures, I mean, like it or not, believe it or not, there's still homes in Lancaster County that don't have air conditioning. And it's going to be 95 degrees this summer somewhere. And those people are going to be living in those homes with that temperature. And I think you bring up a good point. What's your solution? We hear, right now I'm hearing a lot of, I don't like this, I don't like this, but I'm not hearing any solutions to it. This won't be the only facility that doesn't have air conditioning. It won't be the only public facility. It won't be the only prison that doesn't have air conditioning. But you heard the steps that the warden outlined and that Bob outlined that the prison has taken to try to minimize the discomfort of the inmates and make the working conditions better for the guards. In addition, there is a $1 billion project that is on the horizon that we are this close to that will solve this problem. So there is good news. Ultra's on the way, and we're going to get there.
If I could respond, it's not a comfort issue. It's a health issue, both for labor force and for inmates. Otherwise, CDC wouldn't mind being involved in it. It's a health issue. And it runs counter to our mission, our stated mission.
Thank you. There's other people waiting patiently.
Can I just have a response?
I'm gonna ask Ken to sit down so the next people can come up, but yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah, so I wonder, maybe at the next meeting, Warden, if you could talk, because I don't think anybody would agree that strip searches are invasive. However, wherever we do that with, wherever we need to do it from a safety standpoint. But if we're doing strip searches, maybe we can talk next time, Warden, about how strip searches are conducted, because that does matter. So there's different ways that have been done traditionally in the past, and as we learn more about trauma-informed practices, I believe they've been implemented here. So maybe it'd be good next time to talk about, as they're being done based on policy to keep people safe, how the way that they're done matters. So maybe that's sort of also would be helpful for the community to hear or determine how they're being done.
If we included that in the volume, let's just put a quantified number on it so that when we discuss it, we know what we're talking about. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Connie Hazeltine. I live in Lancaster City and have lived in the county for 30 years. I'm directing my comments to Chief Schaefer and DA Adams. I've expressed my deep concerns about the formal agreements that the sheriff and DA offices have with ICE, a federal law enforcement agency that has a well-documented pattern of detaining or deporting U.S. citizens mistaken for undocumented immigrants because they did not follow proper due process procedures. I want to take another opportunity to repeat my respect and appreciation for our local law enforcement. I am, however, dismayed that our local law enforcement is working with ICE and causing even foreign-born citizens and immigrants following the law to be afraid to seek help, and thus making them and others less safe. For example, there are published reports of 911 calls during the period of high-profile surges. There are numerous calls from citizens and legal residents fearing for their safety as masked and unidentified ICE agents surrounded their cars and banged on their doors without judicial warrants. The audio recordings are chilling because of the terror in their voices. The recordings show the dispatchers did not feel they could help. There was a bipartisan outcry against the surges, with polls showing a significant drop in the appetite for aggressive enforcement. Understandably, ICE shifted its strategy from searches to relying more on the far less visible local law enforcement collaborations. When ICE interacts with our immigrant neighbors after being informed by our sheriff and DA office detectives, are we supposed to believe that ICE will behave better than they did when they were in the public eye? After what we saw with our own eyes in Minneapolis, LA, Portland, and Chicago, it is completely understandable that many foreign-born citizens and legal residents are too afraid to call for help. As I've said before, I simply cannot support sending any human beings to the deplorable conditions in ICE detention centers that are being run for profit. Just withdraw the agreement and let our local law enforcement focus on community building and protecting all human beings in our county. Let's put our efforts into creating a better route to legal entry into the country, legal and efficient ways to track and manage refugees, migrants, and immigrants. Let's stop supporting the terror being inflicted on innocent human beings. There, with the grace of God, will you and I.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Waybright. I live on a farm in Raffo Township, just a few miles down the road from land my ancestors bought from the Penn brothers. I'm here today because I love Lancaster County. I recently attended a county commissioners meeting in the Columbia Borough. I learned that Columbia is celebrating their 300th anniversary. A representative of the celebration committee gave us a brief and fascinating overview of Columbia's history. Founded by Quakers, active in the Underground Railroad, instrumental in turning back Confederate soldiers attempting to cross the Susquehanna. Lancaster County at its best. At this same meeting, Commissioners Parsons and D'Agostino got angry with us for pointing out the dangers of 287G agreements. There was much gavel pounding and a final shout from Commissioner D'Agostino. You don't respect law enforcement. You don't respect law enforcement. Because I'm a Mennonite, I believe that every human being is known and loved by God. God loves Lancaster County whenever you arrived here. And God's love compels me to say that 287G agreements are a danger to all of our civil rights, human rights, and collective fiscal health. God loves our county commissioners and law enforcement. God's love compels me to offer this kind but firm corrective to Commissioner D'Agostino's accusations. In the United States, power and authority are granted by the governed. Respect is not owed to whoever holds the office, yells the loudest, bullies most effectively. If a person or institution, like ICE, is demonstrably cruel and incompetent, all of us have a responsibility to protest unapologetically and persistently. Commissioner Parsons ended the meeting in Columbia by saying we could keep coming to meetings if we wanted to, but there was no point. Nothing will change. To our commissioners, our DA, our sheriff, all our elected officials, I'll end with this. I have garlic to dig. My beans are weedy, and the second planting of corn isn't in. I would love to leave you to your work while I attend to mine. But as long as my county is in danger from 287G agreements, you can expect to see more of me. Thank you.
To start, I would like to thank the public servants in the room and acknowledge all of your work, everybody who's here as a public servant. And the fact that you have to make decisions about many. I'll take that. Okay. You have to make decisions about many difficult issues. My name is Karen Erb. I'm a lifelong resident of Lancaster County. I live and vote in East Hempfield Township. I'm a mom and a teacher in a local public school district, so I'm a civic-minded public servant myself. plainly state my respect and support for all local law enforcement agencies. Individuals who work in these departments are our neighbors, and we trust that they have strong investment in and concern for their community. I am appreciative to outgoing Sheriff Lepler and Chief Schaefer. Nearly a year ago, they agreed to sit down and with a small contingent of concerned citizens, including myself, and we were able to have a very respectful discourse, ask questions, and express our serious concerns about the Lancaster County Sheriff Department's 287G agreement with ICE. Our concerns and requests at that time were predominantly the training time and use of deputies as federal agents tasked with enforcing immigration law, which takes away from the day-to-day responsibilities of the Sheriff's Department and the goal of protecting, defending, and serving all residents of our community. This concern remains to this day. Public safety is dependent upon trust, and when community members are afraid to report crimes due to fears about immigration-related consequences, this erodes public trust. Fear about racial profiling also creates a divide between law enforcement and the community that they serve. We as Lancaster community members do not support aligning our Sheriff's Department with the lawlessness, intimidation, violence, and corrupt abuse of power that has been demonstrated by ICE. These concerns have increased exponentially since our meeting last summer. Finally, we ask for transparency. We even proposed a community advisory board who could engage in ongoing conversation with the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Lepler seemed to think that this was not a worthwhile endeavor, but assured us that we could contact him by email with any further questions or concerns. At this time, after nearly a year of communication from constituents, encouraging dialogue around the 287G agreement, our concerns remain unanswered, and the Sheriff's Department has been largely unresponsive to our requests. In closing, the Lancaster County Sheriff's Department, in their own words, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. When leaders prioritize their people, everyone wins. Strong leadership builds strong departments, and strong departments build safer communities. Continuing a 287G agreement with ICE does not bring strength or safety to our Lancaster community. I ask you again to please end the 287G agreement with ICE and be leaders who truly take care of those in your charge. Those of us here and all of our neighbors, no exceptions. Thank you.
I'm Steve Sauer, and I have lived 36 years in Lancaster County, my first 22 here in the city, 10 elsewhere, and 14 in Millersville. In Millersville, I do music ministry at St. Philip the Apostle Catholic Church. This is my third prison board meeting overall, second at this facility. The first one I attended was in the other building, and I had just gone through security, taken off my belt, got on an elevator, realized I was in there with Sheriff Lepler, and we laughed because I was still putting on my belt in the elevator. We stepped onto the top floor together and saw, and this was back in February, this was the meeting that was huge and overflowing with people. This was my first meeting. I said to the sheriff, "Is it always like this?" He goes, "No," but he must have known something was different. At that meeting, he was presented with a petition from 2,700 concerned citizens who were asking him to rescind his office's task force agreement with ICE. He stated at that meeting that nothing had changed, and that if he were to rescind the 287G agreement today, nothing would change tomorrow. He hasn't attended a prison board meeting since, and is now resigning, retiring. I'm not sure. I hope he didn't scare him away. But attending these prison board meetings myself helps me appreciate the good work by excellent members of law enforcement. There they go. Thank you. Who are committed to serving the public and for the most part, who don't answer to a federal overlord. What concerns me is when personnel within the sheriff's office have been diverted from security duties at the county courthouse, for example, because they're needed elsewhere. They're called by their split loyalty to immigration and customs enforcement. I'm concerned in the ways that things have changed since that February meeting, and that we're already changing at the beginning of this year. Looking at statistics of immigration arrests in Lancaster County, immigration arrests are up, collateral arrests are up, non-custodial arrests are up. So the last thing that I want is for my concerns to be misconstrued as any kind of disrespect toward our county law enforcement. I have nothing but the utmost respect for our county law enforcement. I also don't want our law enforcement to be diverted from their duties to perform immigration arrests of those who have been neither charged with nor convicted of a crime, and also making collateral arrests in immigration enforcement. Given the fact that some of our county commissioners, in their official capacities, no less, have seen fit to rededicate our county to Jesus, I'd like to remind us that Jesus and his family fled their homeland and sought refuge in a foreign land. Jesus was neither white, nor Christian, nor a nationalist of any kind. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, my name is Paul Murray. I would like to wish everyone here a slightly early 4th of July. I think it's important to examine what it means to be a patriot in these times. And if we assume in good conscience that ICE was acting within the law and in the service of our country, then we would have no choice but to support them. If, on the other hand, they demonstrate over and over and over again that they are abusing their power, even to the point of executing citizens. If you are aligning yourself with these people, you are doing us a disservice because you're here representing us. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you need to stop. Thank you very much.
Neil Ward, West Oakland, and I'd like to weigh in on the 2 years study. So I'm deeply saddened that we lost our sheriff. But I've faced Homeland Security several times, representing people that were close to me. So I have experience with this. Mostly over technical issues regarding green cards. Last time in Philly, I stood in front of a Homeland Security agent behind bulletproof glass, and all we wanted to do was fix an error that they made. Instead, the official looked at the green card, refused to look at our application, which was correct, by the way. Agent asked me if I was a lawyer. I said no. But I'm representing this individual. Said, I need a lawyer. After 15 minutes of threatening to detain and to deport someone very close to us, I begged that agent, we need your help. Finally, the agent looked at the application and said, oh, okay, this time. Made the correction, realizing she was wrong, but not admitting it. It's heartbreaking to think that someone you care deeply for is about to be taken into custody and deported. Unexpectedly, right before your eyes. So I'm not telling anybody what to do, but each time you pick up that phone and call ICE, NCIC, well, NCIC doesn't matter. You'll find out if there's a detained or a person undocumented. Please think about the individuals involved, their story, and their families. as a member of Have a Heart, and standing for what Have a Heart means and what it's all about, I'm asking this gathering to be gracious enough to have sympathy for those impacted by the 287 agreement. And so the board can elect to push back, and I'll probably respond at the next prison board. Thank you.
I promise to be brief. Perry Hazeltine, I live in the city and a 30-year resident of Lancaster County. I want to start by thanking Chief Schaefer for stepping up to the role as you prepare to be formally positioned, and also that you chatted with me after the last prison board meeting. Thank you very much. I also got to chat with Mr. Wigglesworth, and DA Adams has responded to me by email, so appreciate that. I have one question for Chief Schaefer. What is your current vacancy level for staff, and what impact does that have on your work with the prison and with the court system? Thank you.
Hi, I apologize, I forgot to say my name and where I'm from previously. Gail Grove Scott, Lancaster City resident, healthpolicynetwork.com. Folks who want to watch the recording for this meeting and all the quarterly meetings for the last 2 years can go to my YouTube channel, because I'm paying for this recording because the county refuses to record the quarterly meetings held at the jail. So we have 2 years of them on the YouTube channel for Health Policy Network. All the folks that won awards who want to see those can go to that website. It's unfortunate that the county isn't spending the tiny fraction of their multi-million-dollar IT budget on this. It's also, I want to share with the audience that Neil Ward and I did make an ADA request for this meeting to have microphones. How many of you have attended a public meeting with 50 people where they didn't use microphones and a sound system? Is that something that you've seen before? I'm seeing heads shaking. It's not common. It could easily be done for about $100 a meeting to have a portable temporary sound system here for folks that are disabled and have hearing challenges. Neil's is much worse than mine, but I do have a minor hearing challenge. It's just inappropriate not to have better ADA accommodations. I certainly appreciate that they reserve the front seats for us. That's what they considered an ADA accommodation. And I certainly appreciate that people here try to speak louder. It's still very hard to hear. Some people are not good at projecting their voice, and there's noise in the background. So it's just not an ADA. I do not accept this as an appropriate ADA accommodation for folks with hearing disabilities. And I also don't accept that because you're refusing to record and live stream this meeting like the other prison board meetings, that people who have mobility challenges, people that are blind, cannot access easily the transcript from this meeting. We've discussed this for 2 years. I will also say that I do have a public health degree. I'm a doctoral candidate, but I have a master's in public health. And I appreciate that Controller Scott Wigglesworth spoke up and asked questions about what can be done in response to to me, it feels like gaslighting that we receive, that we won't report data because maybe we can't change it. That is a constant thing, we hear this. You weren't on the board last year, Mr. Wigglesworth, but I did present numerous data around the very common public health tenet that you have to address high heat as an emergency. There's extensive documentation about this. We have an emergency management supervisor for the county. We don't have a public health department. This is a health issue, and there are things that can be done. And I appreciate that the warden is doing the best she can with the constraints of this prison. I had my comments to the prison board were published as an op-ed in LNP that ran in July of last year. A copy of it is on my website with links to all the resources I cited. One of the resources I cited was data about why it can be dangerous to have fans. and the data changes, but Kent was absolutely right that fans are not sufficient in high heat. And the question that we didn't hear answered is, what were the temperatures inside the jail earlier this month when it was in the mid-90s outside? The question we're not going to have answered in July when there isn't a prison board meeting is going to be, what were the high temperatures? That data is really important. We can't address emergency response without knowing the data. We're refusing to announce the data because we don't want to address it. And that's just not the way governance should be. I mean, I've noticed that when Commissioner Parsons came into office, he and the warden did do some substantial data collection. They started prison stat. They were very proud of that meeting, and they really worked hard to have evidence-based, data-driven decisions making here. We do a much better job of this than many of the other counties. In fact, probably the majority of the counties in Pennsylvania. We do a better job of reporting data at our prison board meetings publicly. So, congratulations and thank you, Warden, and thank you, Commissioner Parsons, for doing that to try to reduce suicides and increase health in the jail. But refusing to look at the temperatures and just report to us what the high temperatures are and the humidity means that you cannot address the health hazards.
Thank you.
In addition, my question was not answered, but I really appreciate the solicitor came. I'd be happy to talk to you further. I appreciate that you did look at the legal citations that I made, but those were really about the constitutional issue, as you know, and I, of course, read the actual citations. It wasn't about ACA standards at all. It was about the constitutional question of whether it's not constitutional to allow people to have sunlight, and there's a patchwork of decisions around the country.
Thank you.
I'm talking about the ACA standards. Is our jail going to meet them? And in fact, it is not. The plain language says it's not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken.
Maybe something easier. So recently, the Board of Commissioners followed the federal regulations and reduced phone rates. I'd like to have that spoken to because it has impact on the inmate general welfare fund and its income. Where are we going from here?
Deputy Warden Supervisor.
Updated info on that.
Yeah, so we have a contract with Securus Technologies based out of Dallas, Texas, to provide our phone service and messaging services for the inmates. On April 1st, an FCC ruling, April 1st of 26, an FCC ruling was laid down, which regulated the amount of money that the county and prison could profit off of inmate phone calls. Our rate previously was 15 cents per minute. Our rate was reduced to 12 cents per minute and limited the amount of money that the county can get with respect per minute to 2 cents. And that does have a significant impact on budgeting. It does have a significant impact on the amount of money that goes into the inmate welfare account. That has been implemented, the changes have been made, and we adopted a one-year contract through September 27th of 27 with multiple one-year options.
So the proper word of the federal reg is it prohibits a commission. It doesn't reduce it.
It regulates. There's certain parts of the contract that are regulated and certain parts that are not. The phone calls themselves are regulated, which is why that's been capped at 2 cents per minute for the prison for security purposes.
So 2 cents comes back to us.
Correct.
Okay.
And that was more previous.
Okay. So this will also then require a revision of the policy for inmate general welfare fund. We have a policy that you've adopted that includes reference.
Not necessarily. Obviously, there's significantly less revenue coming into inmate general welfare. I don't know that it automatically requires a revision of that policy, but it's worth looking at. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments from the public? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Neil, you had another question.
That's one thing that affects the population, is the rapid salinity. Do we have any numbers on that?
Sure. And again, I'll answer this relatively quickly. Last session was held June 5th with me. There were 48 cases listed on that date. What I will tell you is that number does not truly reflect the changes. And I think I mentioned this last time I was here. I'm not sure if President Judge Brown has mentioned this. One of the unexpected consequences of this new program is, you'll recall that we've identified certain cases to be expedited. The defense gets the offer and the discovery materials at the time of arraignment. Those 48 cases that day were listed under the session. That number does not reflect the number of cases that were resolved before their scheduled court system, scheduled court date. That we didn't see coming. I will tell you that there have been a large number of cases that are actually scheduled for a traditional guilty plea list and resolved even before their scheduled RRC list. So the numbers are getting bigger. The DA's been great with working and getting the numbers higher. I will tell you anecdotally that Judge Reiner and I this week, the two of us have the largest criminal caseloads. We have noticed that now that we've been up and running with this for about a year and a half, it's starting to take a hold. And what I mean by that is our status conference list before this ran 250 to 300 cases. My status conference last week was 175. So it's starting to work its way through. It needed some time to work its way through. So the progress report is this. Good. We're still looking at it. We're still going to drive the numbers up maybe a little higher, but absolutely can't complain. It's certainly starting to take a hold. You bet.
We're definitely on track to outpace last year.
Right, we are.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.